Hi, my name is Rachel Johnson. I'm a graduate student at Eastern Kentucky University. My presentation will be focused on using a digital storytelling web application to create 3D pop-up books. This presentation is geared toward grades K through 5. Have you ever had a student in your class who just hated writing? Working with that student was like pulling teeth? What if I told you about a web app that would completely change the way that child viewed writing? You and your students would be all over that. Well, what is it? Have you ever heard of digital storytelling? You will love it. Digital storytelling is the practice of using computer-based tools to tell stories. I've included some research that supports digital storytelling in the library and the classroom. The first article was from Children in Libraries, the Journal of the Association for Library Service to Children, and the author in the article states, "It also allows them to express themselves. As so many of us know, children have amazing stories to tell. Whether they are stories of personal struggles or achievements or some fantastic story they've dreamt up, digital storytelling gives them another avenue for self-expression." Another article I found is from Teacher Librarian, and one teacher states, "For the first time in my teaching career, not one student wrinkled a brow and declared, 'I don't have anything to write about.'" The article also states that digital storytelling projects engage children with technology that has the potential to support the development of 21st century literacies. Other research concludes that high-end youth interaction with technology can motivate young writers to simply just begin a story. Greenridge introduced digital storytelling projects to more than 100 multi-age students as part of the writing curriculum. Their findings suggest that digital storytelling projects are particularly supportive of struggling writers. Researchers such as Burmark have found that integrating visual images with written text both enhances and accelerates student comprehension. And then digital storytelling is an especially good technology tool for collecting, creating, analyzing, and combining visual images with written text. Now that you know a little more about digital storytelling, I want to tell you about the web application we will be working with today. The web application is called zooburst.com. Zooburst.com is a digital storytelling tool that lets anyone easily create his or her own 3D pop-up books. zooburst books live online and can be experienced on your desktop or laptop computer or on your iPad via the free zooburst mobile app. Authors can arrange characters and props within a 3D world that can be customized using uploaded artwork or items found in a built-in database of over 10,000 free images and materials. The purpose of the software is for students to be able to create stories online using their own artwork or pictures from the online database. Why would you want to use zooburst? First of all, it's free. It allows for creativity among your students. It's easily differentiated among the students. Students are able to create and publish their own work, and it's used to teach core content areas. It's also applicable to all learning levels and styles. It's easy for classroom teachers and librarians to collaborate, which is huge, and that students are able to work on a project in the classroom and the library. So if you have a student that needs to work on it in the classroom, and then again the teacher and the librarian are also collaborating on this project, then they can take what they've already done in the classroom and just log on to their account and then also begin working on it in the library. This program also engages and motivates the students to start telling stories and writing. Here are some examples of formative assessments that could be used to help students before they create a 3D pop-up book using this web application. One assessment is that students will brainstorm a list of topics that can be used to write a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Students will read a few stories and then decide if they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You could just use a simple check, yes or no. checklists for that. And then also students will write a story on paper and then peer edit each other's stories to make sure it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then also a peer editing checklist could be used for that assessment. Some more formative assessments could be students brainstorm a story or an event that has happened in their lives, such as a personal narrative. If you're teaching personal narratives in the classroom, zooburst is a great way to engage and motivate students to really get their personal narrative on paper, because they're so excited to first write it on paper and then they get to transfer it into a 3D pop-up book. And then students will write their story on paper, making sure they have the following elements: who, what, when, where, and how they felt. Students will then peer edit each other's narratives and use a checklist to make sure the following elements were included. And then a checklist is also provided for peer editing. The summative assessment for using zooburst would be students will create a 3D pop-up book using zooburst.com. The book will be a fiction story with a beginning, middle, and end with characters and text on every page. At least 4 pages should be used for the pop-up book, and a rubric could be used for grading. Another summative assessment could be that students will create a personal narrative using the digital storytelling 3D pop-up book web application zooburst.com. The narrative will include all elements and at least 5 pages. And also a rubric will be used for grading with that one. The objectives of this training is that during this training and by the end of this training, you'll be able to create an account, choose pictures from the database on zooburst, or upload pictures or artwork from the computer that tell a story. Add images to the pop-up book to tell a story, add text to the story, and view your finished 3D pop-up book. Some things that you need would be a computer, access to the internet, a web browser such as Safari, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Adobe Flash Player plugin version 10 or higher, a valid email address, and to know how to follow step-by-step procedures and instructions. First, I want to show you an example of a book from a 3rd grade student. And the students were asked to use zooburst to create a fiction story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Here's the example of the zooburst book. One day, Danny the meat-eating dinosaur went out to look for food. I am so hungry. I need to find food and fast. Danny Dinosaur could only find plants. He did not like plants. He saw a pond and decided to get a drink of water. This water is refreshing, but I really need food. Then he saw a huge dinosaur. Meat! He was so hungry that he charged at the dinosaur. Meat! This tiny dinosaur is crazy! Danny and the Triceratops began to fight. The Triceratops used its hard shield and tail to defend itself. All Danny could think about was eating. Why are you fighting with me? I did nothing wrong. I need food and I can't find anything to eat besides plants. Triceratops and Danny Dinosaur ran as fast as they could to the pile of food that Triceratops had. Really? Let's go! Run as fast as you can! Well, you should have told me that. Stop fighting and come with me. I have plenty of food to share. Triceratops and Danny Dinosaur sat and ate the most delicious meat. They talked and laughed about what happened earlier. They became great friends and ate dinner together every night. Now that you've seen an example using zooburst, are you interested? Remember, if you want to motivate your students to start writing, if you want your students to use creativity, if you want to provide engaging and exciting activities, then give zooburst a try. Check out my tutorial video on how to use zooburst.com.